Maximizing financial resources is of utmost importance. Certain individuals possess it. There are individuals who do not conform to the expected norms or standards. There are those who have achieved mastery in this endeavor. Many individuals are still in pursuit of it. Money may appear to be nothing more than numbers, spreadsheets, and algebra. Alternatively, an equation that must be solved. However, real financial decisions are made away from calculators, over dinner tables. In terms of ego, pride, terror, and personal history. The fundamental nature of money is a dance between cold arithmetic and human intuition. Nature. We are complicated beings when it comes to money, and financial success is not that simple. It is not so much about how much you know as it is about how you behave. Morgan Housel's outstanding book, The Psychology of Money, inspired this film. Let's take a look at the odd and human side of money. Financial ancestry. We all come from different generations, with parents earning varying amounts of money and holding various positions. Different ideals, living in different parts of the world, born into different economic situations. We all have extremely distinct experiences in contexts with varying motivations and possibilities. Experiences towards money. Consider the stock market and inflation. During their adolescence, people born in 1970 watched the Sanddamp wink with tongue sticking out 500 nearly tenfold increase. And 20s, most people have an optimistic outlook on the stock market and a larger proclivity to invest. To invest. People born in 1950 witnessed the stock market go nowhere throughout their adolescence and 20s, leading to a more pessimistic opinion of the stock market and less motivation to invest. People born in the 1960s suffered high inflation during their adolescence and 20s, resulting in to a higher awareness and more negative attitude of inflation and its impacts. People born in 1990 experienced relatively low inflation throughout their lives, resulting in to less care and awareness of its impacts. The stock market and inflation experience of a person throughout their early years. Their views and behavior toward investing and financial decision-making are substantially influenced. People rationalize every financial decision they make using the facts available to them. That moment and their mental picture of the universe, which they have inherited from their parents. Their parents' unique life experiences shape them. Despite the fact that individuals may be ignorant, lack information, or make poor decisions, their actions have an impact. Sense to them in that moment and align with their own unique story. People do some crazy things with money, says Housel. But no one is insane. Because there is no generally proper approach to manage money, we all have different worldviews. None of us are insane if we succeed. We make financial decisions in accordance with our personal life experiences and worldview. Kings of compounds. Without a question, Warren Buffett is regarded as one of the best investors of all time. What's more, $81.5 billion of Warren Buffett's $84.5 billion net worth was lost once he reached his mid-60s. According to Housel, few pay enough attention to the most basic fact: Buffett's fortune isn't simply because he's a good investor, but because he's been a good investor since he was born. It's a child. Buffett was able to grasp the power of investing from the age of 10. Of compounding. Assume you invest $1,000 at an 8% interest rate. After a year, your initial investment would be worth $1,080. If you compounded your $1,080 sum at 8% interest the following year, you would now receive $86.40. You profited from your initial investment as well as the interest you got on it. Principle. An investment that is compounded over time earns interest not just on the original investment but also on the compounded interest. In addition to the original investment, interest is earned. Because of the paradoxical nature of compounding, many of us are unaware of how bad the situation is. The outcomes can be. However, compounding might help you make more money over time. Warren Buffett began serious investing at the age of 10 and had a net worth of $1 million by the age of 30. Consider an alternate scenario in which Warren Buffett behaved more like most young people. Guys in their 20s, and he spent a lot of his early earnings on travel and a few excellent cars. If he began with a net worth of $25,000 at the age of 30 and retired at the age of 60, but continued to invest, To produce the incredible average annual returns of 22%, his net worth today would be about $11.9 million, 99.9% of his current net worth of $84.5 billion. Warren Buffett's financial success may be traced back to the financial foundation he established throughout his early years, as well as his investment endurance. His specialty is investment, but time and the force of compounding are his secrets to success. Consider it from a different angle. Warren Buffett is the world's richest investor. However, he is not the best in terms of average returns. Jim Simons, for example, is a hedge fund manager who has compounded money at an astounding rate. Since 1988, annual growth has averaged 66%. A significantly greater rate than Buffett. Simons' net worth, on the other hand, is $21 billion, which is 75% less than Buffett's. What makes this possible? According to Housel, this is because Simons was unable to find his stride. He didn't start investing until he was 50 years old, giving him less than half the amount of time to multiply as Buffett. Housel believes that if he had invested for as long as Buffett, his net worth would be much higher. Today is 63 quintillion 900 quadrillion 781 trillion 71 trillion 71 trillion 71 trillion 70 88 billion 78 million $160,000. $63 900 781 780 748 160 000. Compounding's potency should not be underestimated. Compounding results, no matter how illogical they appear, should never be ignored. Be dismissed. Pessimism and cash. Optimism is the conviction that the odds of a favorable event will increase with time. If there are hiccups along the way, but when it comes to money, we all have a preference for. We cherish pessimism. Looking back, things have typically improved over time. So, what is it about pessimism that makes us prefer it to optimism? Because good things take time and do not happen overnight. For a variety of reasons, money is a subject that elicits pessimism. Let us begin with the reality that money is important to every one of us. We are more likely to pay attention when we hear about anything negative happening in the economy. A 40% drop in the stock market over 6 months, for example, is sure to draw attention immediately, and may even result in government action. The progressive nature of a 140% gain over 6 years, on the other hand, may go entirely unnoticed. Every year, the advancement of medicine saves 500,000 American lives. The last 50 years. Slow development, on the other hand, garners less attention than quick, unexpected losses, such as terrorism, natural calamities, and plane crashes. Overnight catastrophes are common, but overnight miracles are rare. We don't have to be gloomy to be practical. Despite failures, we can remain optimistic that the odds of a happy outcome will increase over time. Are on our side. When watching the news and hearing about a stock market catastrophe, economic troubles, or other financial issues, keep in mind that things usually improve over time. There are 2 forgotten elements. There were approximately 300 million high school-age persons in the world in 1968, and of those 300 million, Lakeside, a tiny school in Seattle, has 300 students. Lakeside was the only high school in the world at the time with a professor. Has the foresight to rent a computer, the Teletype Model 30. This was no ordinary computer, it was cutting edge for the time and sort of computer that it was. Even graduate students were denied entrance. And this would change everything for one lucky Lakeside student. Bill Gates was that pupil. 300 million to 300 million. In 1968, there was a 1 in a million chance of being a high school student with autism. I have access to a computer. Bill Gates and his schoolmate Paul Allen would go on to co-found Microsoft. Even as a youngster, Gates showed extraordinary intelligence, hard work, and a vision for the future. Computers that are unlike any other. Going to Lakeside, on the other hand, offered him a 1 in a million competitive advantage and head start. And Gates isn't bashful about it. In 2005, he said, if Lakeside hadn't existed, Microsoft would not have existed. What is rarely stated in the early Microsoft story is a third member of this band of hackers. Computer geniuses in high school. Evans, Kent. just as brilliant and visionary. Kent, along with Gates and Ballmer, may have been one of Microsoft's founders. Allen. That, however, would never happen. Kent died in a mountaineering accident before completing high school. The chances of a high school student dying in a mountaineering mishap are about 1 in a million. A million times. Just as an extraordinarily uncommon stroke of luck propelled Bill Gates and Paul Allen to success. Fantastic success. Kent Evans would witness an extraordinarily unusual event, and what Housel refers to as risk is a close relative of luck. The wind and waves that determine the route of a sailboat are analogous to luck and danger. The sailor can control the rudder and sails, but ultimately the direction and speed are determined by the wind. External influences influence the boat's performance, which cannot be totally foreseen or controlled. The road to success is full of twists and turns, and luck and risk play important roles. The importance of designing our life should not be overlooked. Recognize that success is a complex mix of factors, involving both talent and chance. Can assist us in approaching our own financial decisions with a greater sense of humility and perspective. The happiness key. People aspire to get wealthier in order to be happier, but Housel believes that the ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, and for how long you want is essential to happiness. For as long as you want. The goal of financial gain has caused many people to strive more and sacrifice more. Despite being wealthier than ever before, they have control over their time. However, research indicates that having control over your life is the most reliable predictor of good sentiments of well-being, rather than your pay, house size, or professional status. Finally, mastering your time is the best investment you can make. Pursuing money without regard for time is akin to trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. Water will continue to flow out no matter how much you pump in. Similarly, no amount of money will provide you permanent enjoyment if you don't spend it. You have no control over your time and are unable to appreciate the results of your labor. Events at the tail. Heinz Berggruen, a German-born American who fled Nazi Germany, became one of the most successful art dealers in history. He amassed a huge collection of art, including works by notable artists such as Picasso and Klee, as well as Matisse. He sold a portion of his collection for more than 100 million euros in 2000. What was his trick to amassing so many masterpieces? Was it skill or chance? According to Horizon Research, smart investors buy a lot of art and keep it for a long time. For an extended period of time. They are waiting for a couple of those artworks to become well-known and valuable. Despite the fact that the majority of the artworks they purchased were not particularly valuable. In other words, having a diverse portfolio is more important than being correct all of the time. And waiting for a few lucky winners to emerge. Perhaps 99% of the works bought by someone like Berggruen in his lifetime turned out to be insignificant. He may be incorrect most of the time, but that doesn't matter if the other person is correct. 1% of the time, it turns out to be the work of someone like Picasso. These are referred to as long tails. When a small number of events can explain the majority of the outcomes. Berggruen's art collection's lengthy tails are what led to his eventual fortune. Berggruen's story gives us a crucial lesson about investment and the long tail. The notion applies to many facets of business and finance as well. Venture capital is one obvious example. The majority of startups in a VC fund will fail and lose money for the fund, but all of them will succeed. To compensate for losses, a few outlier startups with 20x plus returns are required. Take, for example, Amazon. Even though it is only one company, it contributed 6% of the return on the S&P 500 index in 2018. If we take a glance inside Amazon, its expansion has been fueled mostly by two tail events, Amazon Prime and Amazon Web Services. These two offerings more than compensated for Amazon's less successful efforts. For example, the Fire Phone or travel agencies. Instead of apologizing to shareholders following the disastrous debut of the Amazon Fire Phone, the company. According to Jeff Bezos. If you think that's a big failure, you should know that we're working on much bigger failures right now. I'm not joking. Some of them will make the Fire Phone appear like a minor blip. Bezos recognizes that making errors and failing with most products is acceptable if the process is followed. Builds the 1% of tail event items that power everything. Because we only see the end goods, tail events are typically unintuitive and concealed from us. And not all of the setbacks along the route that led to the final product. Housel utilizes a real-life stand-up comedian as an example in the book. You think to yourself while watching the Netflix special, wow, this comedian is amazing. Is incredible. What you don't see are all the terrible jokes that the comedian tried through trial and error. Before performing the program, he performed in small bars across the country. The Netflix special is a 1% compilation of all tail event jokes that were really made. People are laughing. 99% of the jokes along the road were most likely passable. In terms of investing, despite the fact that long tails are common, most of us ignore them. When things go wrong, we have a tendency to overreact. You know this as soon as you accept that tails drive everything in business, investing, and finance. Many things can go wrong, fail, or fall apart. Remember, only 10 of Warren Buffett's approximately 500 stock picks have made the majority of his money. Good stock pickers will be correct only half of the time. Good leaders make good decisions only half of the time. The fact that you may be mistaken at times does not exclude things from working out in the end. Time. In the end, only a tiny number of events affect the outcome. Being rich versus true wealth. It's critical to understand the distinction between affluent and wealthy richness. Is concerned with your current income and possessions, whereas wealth is concerned with your financial situation. You have assets that you have yet to spend. True wealth is defined by what you don't see rather than what you see. It's natural to think that someone driving a Lamborghini is wealthy, yet appearances can be deceiving. Be deceptive. In truth, many people are living beyond their means and relying on debt to make ends meet. Flamboyant lifestyles. Wealth isn't defined by the automobiles you drive, the diamond rings you wear, or the houses you possess. It's defined by those financial assets on which you have yet to spend. Building riches necessitates self-control and moderation. The diamonds, watches, and first-class upgrades you decline all contribute to your total financial situation. Wealth. It's simple to discover wealthy role models who spend excessively, but actual wealth is concealed and thus difficult to find. It is more difficult to mimic. We've been conditioned to assume that having money implies spending money, yet the real secret to financial success is saving money. Building wealth entails saving and investing your money. In fact, the only way to become wealthy is to not spend your money. Remember that the next time you see someone driving a flashy car or living in a large mansion. You can't assess riches solely on appearances. The ultimate key to riches is self-control, prudence, asset accumulation, and future investment. The real cost. Consider ascending a mountain with the purpose of reaching the summit and savoring the view. Stunning scenery. Maybe you'll get some sun that day, maybe you'll receive some rain. You can get lost, or you might fall and hurt yourself. The climb's difficulty is not always obvious until you're right in the middle of it. The path to choose may appear plain from the ground, but you will discover it along the journey. You should definitely reconsider and adjust your route to the summit. You should not, however, expect a golden escalator to transport you safely. Take you to the top. You realize before to the ascent that this uncertainty and danger is simply the cost of doing business. You must pay to climb to the top. However, many people believe they can avoid the stock market by investing in it. Uncertainty and danger, as well as getting something for nothing. Housel compares the stock market to purchasing a new car. You have three alternatives if you want to buy an automobile. You can either buy a new car, a used car, or steal one. The new car is more expensive, but the payoff is bigger. Consider the new car to be equivalent to striving for 12% returns in the stock market. The second-hand car is less expensive, but it also provides less reward. The used car is a much safer investment, but it only yields 4% per year. Stealing an automobile is akin to attempting to obtain something for nothing. 99% of individuals would not steal the car because the risks outweighed the advantages. However, when it comes to the stock market, consumers appear to believe that They can choose option 3 and steal from the market. They employ a variety of techniques and procedures in order to obtain high market returns without spending. The cost. Attempting to sell before a drop or buy before a boom. Consider wanting to earn an 11% yearly return for the next 30 years in preparation. In honor of your retirement. The Dow Jones Industrial Average returned roughly 11% per year from 1950 to 2019. Of course, there were many high highs and low lows in those 69 years. Many people find it difficult to watch their investments rise and fall, so they try to avoid it. Can enter and exit fast without incurring the cost of volatility and ambiguity regarding. In the long run, it's comparable to attempting to steal a car. When it comes to investing, the price you must pay is more than just dollars and cents, it is about embracing. Volatility, fear, and danger can all elicit strong emotions. Recognizing that effective investing has a cost is critical. This price is not immediately clear, but you must pay it, just as you would for anything else. Any other item. The goal is to persuade yourself that the market cost is worthwhile, that it is really an admission fee. It is worthwhile to pay. There's no assurance, but if you think of the admittance charge as a fine, you'll be all right. Never have fun with the experience. Be prepared to pay the price after you've found it. Enough with the hedonic treadmills. Understand when enough is enough. Understand the notion of hedonic adaptation or the hedonic treadmill. Every time you score, you move the goalposts further ahead. Take a look at the demise of Bernie Madoff and Sanjay Gupta, two persons who were already indicted. They had everything and were quite affluent. But, with both resorting to crime, all the money in the world would never have been enough to generate even more money. The quest of wealth and success without a sense of when enough is unhealthy. It's like ascending an interminable ladder. There is always another rung to grasp for, no matter how high one climbs, and the pursuit continues. Can become all-consuming, resulting in unhappiness and fulfillment. Thank you for watching the full video. Please comment the next book you want me to summarize. Also, if you want to listen to the full book for free, I'm putting a link below.